DraftSociety.com presents a Premier League Draft Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to the Key Pass Collective, your exclusive source for the information, analysis, and advice you need to dominate your fantasy leagues. Come on in. We've been expecting you.
Draft heads, what is up, man? It's been a hot minute. Hello, everybody. I'm afraid we're not doing this one live, unfortunately. It is the day before Thanksgiving here, after all. We're just trying to fit this in whenever we can, but we knew we couldn't leave you all for 3 weeks without a KPC. So welcome back in. You'll have to access this one either on YouTube or on your podcast player, which you already know if you're listening to this clearly. But yeah, we wanted to get back at you all before the weekend games come back around and kind of do a quick update. Maybe do a little bit of fantasy fake. Maybe talk a little bit about Man City and what the hell is going on there. And of course, give you some streamers for this week so we don't leave you out in the cold again. So yeah, sorry it's been a hot minute, but everything's been pretty busy here. You'll hear a little bit about that coming up. But yeah, I'm fresh off of a trip to Green Bay to go see the Packers play last weekend, which was incredible. You know, trips to Lambeau are always really special. If anybody overseas doesn't quite know about that, look it up. It's, you know, the tickets are really hard to come by. So it was a blast, fun time, and back at it here. So yeah, we're gonna just have some Thanksgiving time with some family, and then hopefully get back into the footy and more of a regular schedule. So anyway, thanks for everyone who normally tunes in, and sorry we couldn't be live this time, but next week you can certainly expect to hear us back on the airwaves, and you can join us and chat in the chat and kind of talk crap and give us a hard time like you guys always do. Okay, welcome into the KPC. Let me go ahead and pull up our doc here for today. First things first, let's just talk through the Draft Society real quick. I won't belabor this today because, like I said, we're going to kind of keep it a short and sweet one. But Draft Society is an independent draft fantasy website. So we've got a lot of free things on the website, consensus rankings, top 75. We got waiver wire article every single week. You'll actually see a little bit of that this week later on. Sleepers 11 weekly article, Ghost Point Hunters from Ryan, useful draft statistics that are completely free, projected lineups every week, and then, of course, being an independent fantasy website, you know, to keep the lights on, we do have a subscriber-only section, and that is called the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is where you can get rest-of-season player rankings every week. You can get points projections for every players, consensus rankings every international break, completely confidential trade advice, and, of course, if you're willing to sign up for the season, you'll get the Fantasy Toolkit, which we will actually talk a little bit more about today and give you a couple or insight into a couple of the tools that the Fantasy Toolkit offers, so that way we can help you prep for this week by using some of those things that are available to you if you become a subscriber. So yeah, if you would, we'd appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who already subscribes. Again, independent fantasy site. We need you all, and we really appreciate everybody who already subscribes. Thank you so much, everybody. All right, like I said, today we're going to talk about the Man City Meltdown. We are going to start there and talk about what's going on and how it has affected fantasy and if it has affected fantasy football. We'll do a quick lightning round of fantasy fake, fantasy for real, and then we are going to talk through Gameweek 13 streamers. Like I said, things have been crazy busy around the TDS headquarters. Most of us have been away, traveling, have had plans, have had big life things happen, have had some good news, have had some bad news, just various different things. Life has been crazy. So we don't have particular streamers that we've picked out for you this week, but we are going to hit you with some, just using some of the tools, like I said, available in the toolkit. Okay, so before we get into it, let's bring in Ryan Barnes joining us from Ryan. Tell the listeners about your latest travels.
I'm joining from sunny Dakar, Senegal.
Yes.
Which I bet folks didn't have on their bingo card, but yeah, I went to London for the FCAs and hung out with Sanjy and Robbie. I went to the Arsenal Forest game, which was a blast. And then, came to Dakar for a few days before I see some friends in Spain and then head home. So, yeah, it's been an awesome trip so far, but ready to get into it.
That's awesome. So you're going to be experiencing a very non-American Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, I usually kind of travel around this time of year, just because it's nice. It's not rarely too hot anywhere, except it's hot as hell here. But
yeah, I was going to say
fall is usually a good time to travel places, and then you get more bang for your buck vacation days wise. So I haven't spent a Thanksgiving in the U.S. in a while.
Damn.
But yeah, I'll have a nice paella Valenciana tomorrow when I get to Valencia. So
that sounds actually incredible.
I'll probably get it twice, to be fair. I'll probably do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, how could you not? How could you not? That's awesome. Oh, beautiful. All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for joining from all the way over there, dude. That's incredible that you were able to hop on. So yeah, let's give the listeners a little bit of fantasy information, fantasy analysis before we fuck off and have our Thanksgiving dinners. And you go on a plane for the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
All right. So first things, Ryan, let's talk about Man City. Oh man. Oh.
Chef's kiss. If I had my camera on, you could see it.
Shoot it into my veins. It is incredible.
Football healing.
Yeah. Winless in 6, 5 losses and 1 draw. And that draw, boy, was it ever epic. 3 up on Feyenoord, only to give up 3 goals in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. I saw that they were 3-0 up, and usually I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not going to check that score again. But I specifically did because the state they're in. And then I saw 1, 2, 3, and I was like, oh, God, please hold on. And yeah, sure enough.
Oh, incredible. Yeah. So, I mean, okay, that aside, we're not pundits. It's all people are going to be hearing about, talking about is their collapse. And so we don't need to talk about what it means for the title race or any of that bullshit. But we can talk about, in terms of fantasy, what it's done or what it hasn't done. Surprisingly, so since Southampton on 10/26, so in October 26th, they played Southampton. They only won 1-0, which certainly was not impressive and not what people were hoping for if you're a fan of Man City, and also for your fantasy assets. So since then, Josko Gvardiol, 13.8 points per game. I mean, you can't really argue with that. Erling Haaland has been fine, 11.3. Savio at 12.8, and Mateus Nunes at 10.9. Those are your highest scoring fantasy assets on a per game basis. I mean, you want to break this down a little bit further? Like, what are we seeing from them?
Yeah, well, first, in terms of the form, I mean, this has been coming. If you've been watching them this season, they shouldn't have gotten a point against Arsenal, last second goal. They shouldn't have gotten a win against Wolves, another last second goal. So like they've been kind of saving themselves by getting last second goals. So like they should be actually in worse shape than they are. So like they were living on the edge for a while. So I'm not surprised that they started dropping points. I am surprised that it's been like this bad, but this has kind of been coming.
Right.
Yeah, fantasy wise, these guys have been okay. Haaland has mostly been ghosts. Just
surprising.
Because he's gotten the chances. He's just not putting them away. So his goals have turned into shots on target. So his ghosts look better than they usually are, but you'd rather have the big hauls that come from obviously, him bagging a brace or a hat trick. So he's apparently got similar XG. He's just not finishing, and he has those droughts. But the rest of the team has just been bad, and he really thrives off of KDB. So in addition to the karma coming from him telling Arteta to be humble for no reason, it's also, I think, largely stemmed from KDB not giving him the service. So yeah, these guys have been decent, but the Fodens, the Gundoğans, some of the others have just not been performing it, or they've been injured. Doku and Grealish have been out for a while, so a lot of it has been injuries too.
Foden has been brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the other ones, I mean, like, and honestly, even Mateus Nunes, like we didn't expect this from him either. It's just a really strange, like, it's a very, I don't know, it's a team that you can't really make a lot of sense of right now, aside from Vardiol and Holland. Honestly, I mean, there's not another player there that I'm feeling super comfortable starting at the moment.
Yeah, Savio's been ghosting really well this season. So when he starts, he's always a must play, of course. But some of the others have been up and down. On the flip side, obviously the kind of tried and true method is to bench your starters unless they're studs against City, and now that's really not the case.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, if you bench someone like Madison, you would have been, or Kulusevski, you would have been screwed.
Yeah.
Last week, so that's also something to keep in mind, especially given this weekend. Like, are you really gonna bench, Gakpo or one of your Liverpool assets that isn't Salah, like you normally would?
Yeah, I don't see why you would. Yeah.
They don't have Ruben Dias. Obviously, Rodri's been the big talking point, but Ruben Dias hasn't been there, and then Kovacic, Rodri's replacement, isn't there either. So they're just, susceptible to the counterattack like they've always been, but without the shield that is Rodri, they're just a sieve, and Liverpool thrives on that. So, like, on paper, they should destroy them, but you never know when the resurgence is going to happen. So we'll see.
I'm fully expecting it to be this weekend, but that's
I mean, I'm kind of hoping it myself because I want you to finally drop some freaking points.
Yeah, I mean, God, that would be what 11 if we were to win. That would be 11 ahead of City or ahead of the next closest.
I mean, we're one behind City.
Okay, so that would be 11. Depending on what you all do.
If we win, it'll be. I think it'll remain at 9. I want to say so.
Yeah, it's still quite the lead. That's very interesting. I never saw this being the case. Like, at the beginning of this season, I was sort of expecting not rebuilding, but almost like a betting in for Arne Slot and the Liverpool assets to sort of take some time to get used to that style of play, and it's been wild to see what happened.
Yeah, it just goes to show what a great selection he was in terms of just seamlessly slotting in and hitting the ground running. So kudos to the front office for that. Also inherited a great squad.
Oh, and I think recognizing that his style of play would fit with the current players they had, so they didn't have to go on a spending spree, I think is really, really, like, shrewd. In terms of the Liverpool front office too.
100%.
But I mean, okay, so City. I mean, so looking forward, guys like KDB, guys like Foden, are you trying to acquire them, or is this scaring you off of them?
I was trying to acquire Foden the last few weeks. He's gotten lower. If KDB was still out, I would still try to do that. But since he's coming back, I don't know what that does to Foden. Especially with other folks coming back to Doku, Grealish. And with Foden not being in form, he doesn't have a really not that he had a nailed on place, but like three out of 4 games he was starting, last season. I don't think he has that anymore with everyone fit. So I don't know. And then KDB, like, you're not going to get him for what you should be able to. Plus, I think he gets injured again, and I just don't want anything to do with him this season.
Yeah. So Foden, if maybe the manager is frustrated and willing to give you a deal, but otherwise it sounds like, I mean, at least it sounds like you think that most of these guys are going to keep their value just based on name value alone, and the fact that, like, maybe it's not worth it until they start turning things around.
I think that's right. I think you might be able to get Holland on a slightly lower value, but yeah, given the name value, it's tough. I don't know what the market's going to be for him, for someone like him or Gvardiol. Those two, as you can see, are the best performing ones and should be even better with any sort of overall team resurgence. So yeah, you might have to test the waters for them. Looking at their schedule, let's see, they have they're down here. Liverpool, Forest, Palace, United, Villa, Everton, Leicester, West Ham. Kind of a mixed bag until you get to game week 18 during the festive season. And then, that Everton, Leicester, West Ham 3-game run looks tasty on paper.
Yeah. Well,
so,
I mean, I guess from our perspectives, we would hope that they continue to struggle until then. And then from a fantasy perspective, you can maybe try to go in for those players.
But even then, that's like the height of the festive frenzy. So that's Boxing Day to New Year's, and so they're going to rotate anyway. So they're more of a minefield than usual. So if you don't have a piece of it, then I would probably just keep it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it. All right, fair enough. Let's leave them in the dust for now. We'll see what happens this weekend, but I don't know. I feel like I'd be foolish to be confident at all. At some point they're going to turn it around, and I'm really hoping it's not this weekend. We'll see. We will see.
Should be interesting.
Yep. All right, Ryan, we're going to do a quick fire fantasy, fake fantasy for real. Just to kind of give people an update on some players who have been performing quite well over the past, 3 to 5 game weeks. So I just gathered up a few of them. I made this doc today in 15 minutes. So you can let me know if I missed any obvious guys. But let's start with Joao Gomez, which, damn, 22, 6, 24 in his last 3. You're kind of a secondary Wolves fan. So what do you make of this? I don't know, purple patch resurgence, whatever you want to call it.
This is a tricky one. He had not stretches like this, but similar last season, as did Lamina, because while they're technically CDMs, they are kind of serving as the creative outlets, unfortunately, as well for Wolves. So when they pop up with returns, they combine some defensive stats with numbers like this. So they're just kind of those assets that can have a huge day, but then immediately revert to a 4 to 6 pointer.
Exactly.
And they're notoriously impossible to predict as well. So it's one of those things where nice to have to just throw in there if you need some upside, but also you're not going to get the full, benefits of the boom or bust unless you start them every week.
Yep.
So I'd say real-ish.
Yeah. Just kind of one of those where, I don't know, a mid 4, not somebody you ever want to find yourself in a situation where you're depending on them. So just sort of trot him out as a mid 4. If he does get you 4 points, well, okay, fine. And special surprise if he gets you 20.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's the same way I feel about Mateus Fernandez at the moment.
Yeah, but man, I hate having anyone from Southampton. They're just so bad.
Yeah, they're very bad. They are very bad. I did find myself in a spot where I had to play him last week.
I like Gomez better than Fernandez. Going to get relegated, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Ismail Assar, 8, 10, 4, 25 in his last 4 weeks. Didn't Didn't see this coming. We had called him completely and utterly goal dependent. And here he is, maybe proving us wrong. I don't know. What do you think? Oh, you're frozen. All right, fair enough. Okay. Well, Ryan, maybe try to pop in and pop out again, and I'll just keep us rolling for a minute. You let me know when you're back up and running.
Am I sounding okay?
Yeah, you are. You back?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you froze for a minute there.
Okay.
If that happens, and it probably will. Just take it as a fact that the Wi-Fi is waning and just keep going.
Yeah, I'll just keep rolling through, and you can hop back in whenever you're back up to speed.
Perfect.
So give us your take on Sarr.
Sarr has kind of become the attacking outlet with Eze out. I think he's one of those right into the wheels fall off forward threes right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realish for kind of what he is, but I don't think he's going to end up being a rest of season hold.
No. Yeah, I think you said basically everything I was thinking. Yep. Yeah. That's exactly where I'm at with him. All right, I love it. Enzo Fernandez has been interesting. He had those couple of minutes against Arsenal, 21 minutes. Of course, he did have an assist in there. So 13 and a half with that assist, but then 26 in the last match that he actually started. And interestingly, if you look back at the beginning of the season, when he was starting, or at least the couple that he started, he was ghosting okay. I mean, it wasn't awesome, but 8.75 against Wolves and 6.25 against West Ham. And those two kind of sandwiched a 1.5 against Crystal Palace. So, I don't know. I struggle to trust him, but he's been playing well.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that plays well when he starts, but I just don't see him being long-term nailed on starter. I think Maresca's been happy with Lavia, especially against decent opposition. I think Enzo Fernandez will probably be more of a flat track bully. So when they play folks like Leicester, he can pop in and be more of an attacking minded midfielder, and they won't need the two holding more defensive minded midfielders in Caicedo and Lavia, and Fernandez can roam a little bit more. So, I mean, if you have him, you kind of hold on to him and see if he continues to start. But I think he'll just be in and out of the side. So he's a hold and wait and see. But I think you'll probably get frustrated sometime soon and drop him. But I guess for the festive season, he'll be a decent one to pop in.
Yeah, that's true. So would you just try to hold him through December?
I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Takes a few corners too. I think the left-sided corners, and then him and Palmer were kind of fighting over the rest of the set, so that's kind of a added bonus. Yeah,
I mean, at any given time, I'm usually holding about 5 midfielders, so there's easily a spot for him down the bench somewhere, and if he plays like you said against a weaker opponent, I mean, slot him in, no problem.
Yeah, I'd have to look at their schedule.
Yeah, it's a good question. I got it. It is Villa, Southampton, Spurs, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth. Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
That's tasty. Yeah, he might get a fair amount of those games.
Yeah, that takes us through January 14th, and then Wolves after that.
Yeah, dear Lord.
That's all the way through January.
Yeah, it makes me. I picked up Felix last weekend and held him. I'm glad I did. I was thinking about dropping him this week, but with that schedule and the games coming thick and fast, he'll start a few of those.
He definitely will. Yeah, that's probably worth a hold. Are you looking at Mudryk at all? I don't know why I thought about that, but just
Not really. I mean, he
I know.
hasn't. He's unlike Fernandez. He hasn't even played these types of games. I mean, you would have hoped he would have come in against Leicester, but he's just been getting the Conference League games.
Yeah.
So he might get he'll probably get maybe one start during the festive season, but not enough to hold him. It's just like see him in the lineup against Ipswich, pick him up, but otherwise, not worth a hold.
Yep. I like it. All right, let's talk Kenny Tete. 9, 12, 14, 13 in the last 4. I will remind you that was Everton, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Wolves.
But against Wolves, they shipped 4. So
and he had an assist in there. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think he's a decent streamer. Like he's Defender 3 streamer. I think their schedule turns for the worse.
Spurs, Brighton, Arsenal, Liverpool, Southampton, Chelsea.
Yeah. So enjoy that.
In fact, if I'm remembering correctly, I was looking at the fixture difficulty tracker earlier today, and I believe that if you look at the next 3 weeks, they are dead last.
Yeah, probably the next 4, because you have Southampton after that, and it softens a bit. So the next 4, you're probably gonna want to drop them now. Yeah,
they're dead last. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So fake, but
it's been a good run.
We got Southampton.
Yeah, totally.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kenny, it's been
real.
It's been real. We'll see you in a while. See you in January.
Gameweek 17. Yeah.
All right. Big man Trevo Chalobah, 13, 16, 21, 13, and then 4 in his last 5. Been pretty crazy. Like he's putting up wild numbers that I certainly didn't see coming.
Yeah, I have him in one league, and I'm not sure what to do with him. I've been happy to just kind of ride it till the wheels fall off. But I benched Timber for him this past weekend, and I was none too pleased. But I don't know if this is the start of the beginning of the end or what for Chalobah, but I think he's earned an off week at this point, so I'd stick with him.
For sure.
But,
Villa
Palace
away.
Defenders have been notoriously, hit or miss.
They've all totally
had their moment in the sun.
Yeah, I mean Villa away. You're allowed to have a bad game there.
Yeah,
for sure.
What? Let's see what Palace got. Oof. Yeah, that's not great either. Although Newcastle and Ipswich the next 2, but after that it's City, Brighton, Arsenal before it softens again for Bournemouth and Southampton.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's a hold for now.
Yeah. All right. I like that. He seems real as like a defender 3, he's not in other words, for me, he's not an every week start. But I don't think I'm dropping him if I have him at this point.
Nah, I think that's right. He goes, and if you watch their games, he gets in some dangerous positions, which is why he's nicked a few attacking returns. So that's really all you can ask for in your Defender 3.
Yeah. All right. Finally, Ryan, is Dominic Szoboszlai back?
I'm going to need a little bit more than Southampton to be able to judge this. So obviously a good sign, but if you can trade high, I think that's probably the play. He also needed literally a gift to get that goal, mind you. So like the ghosts, like the key passes, but I'm going to need a little bit more positive data before I'm able to say that he's back.
If I told you that you could get 2-1 on anything you put down right now, how much money would you be willing to put down that this is his highest score of the season, 27?
Oh, I mean, everything I have.
Well, there you go. I think that says it all. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you can package and trade him off of this week, I think that's the move for me.
Yeah, I think that's right. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think people are going to be weary, especially with on paper City coming to town. Although, as we talked about, it's not the matchup that it used to be. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I think it'll be hard to ship, but we'll see.
All right.
Find the Hungarian in your league. There's always one.
Damn it. I'm not in any leagues with Toddy this year. That's unfortunate. All right. Nice. Well, we've got a few. I'm going to kind of highlight a few of the tools that we have at the Draft Society, and then the ones that I normally use in a week in, week out basis to prep for each game week. And because we didn't really have time to get in there and give our each individual streamers, we can just sort of look through matchups. We can look through some of the players that have been picked up in top leagues, and we can look at the waiver wire article that we have every week, and we can kind of talk through, Ryan, which ones we like, which ones maybe we're kind of staying away from, and look at it that way instead. So let's start with the fixture difficulty tracker that can be found in the Fantasy Toolkit. And I've got this set to look at the next 3 weeks. And on the left here, folks who are on YouTube or on Spotify, you can see you've got defenders, so on the left, and then on the right we've got forwards. I feel like those are the two kind of most streamed positions and matter most when it comes to matchups, because midfielders can kind of score just more ghosts depending on what the position on the field. But yeah, so defenders on the left, forwards on the right. For defenders, you're going to notice Ipswich, Wolves, Brighton, Villa sort of leading the top of the ticket there. And at the end, we've got Chelsea, Southampton, Fulham. So just generally, is anything jumping out to you in terms of streaming defenders over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Ipswich Town has some good ghosting defenders, but it's tricky because they're kind of like Palace. You never know which one of them is going to be the alpha that particular game week. I wonder if Greaves is back pretty soon. He's supposed to be training again, but I don't think he made the bench last game week. So
yeah,
he's someone I'm going to be on the lookout for. Tuanzebe is decent too. If someone dropped Dara O'Shea, you're probably going to want to pick him up. Wolves, I just don't really trust any of their defenders. Your Semedos or your Dawsons. Good schedule on paper, but maybe like a Dawson for 14 at Everton. But yeah, Bournemouth are definitely going to score. So yeah, I don't really trust them. And then Brighton against Southampton, I don't see I think it's one of those games where you're obviously going to try and target the JPVHs of the world. But
that's who I was going to say.
I think he's a trap, to be fair. I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet. I think they'll just nick a random one. So I see him getting 6.
Southampton have been scoring more goals lately, and I mean, to be fair, they're not good, and I do think they're going to get relegated. But at the same time, they have a way of sticking around in games and making it difficult, nicking little goals here and there. I am nervous. I was nervous last week when we played them away in St. Mary's, and for good reason, clearly.
Yeah, it was kind of like Wolves early on. You were targeting Wolves as for opposition defenders, but they were, I think, the only team that didn't give up a clean sheet. I don't think all season. They were just randomly nick a goal. So sometimes that can be, can be tricky to gauge. So yeah, I don't know about targeting Brighton defenders this week. Although if you don't have any better option, it's not the worst punt.
Yeah, I mean, for 1 week plays, obviously people are going to look at Forest against Ipswich. They have a way of kind of just getting in there for the odd goal as well. And then Brentford against Leicester, I think, is a decent play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Brentford got their first clean sheet this past week.
Right.
But yeah, I think outside of maybe Ayer, I mean, I think most of their defenders are already taken
Mm-hmm.
because it goes pretty well. SDV might be in your, or Vandenberg might be in your Maguire, but obviously Pinnock and Collins are gone, long gone. So I don't know if there's really anybody from there that you can target. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I saw Milinkovic dropped in a couple of my leagues. I think people started to, get wary of them after they started conceding goals. And obviously, shipping through to Arsenal is not good, but I mean,
Yeah.
at home is good. So I pick them. I pick up like the Anas and the Milinkovic backup.
Yeah, I mean Moreno's out there in leagues now. He was dropped in a lot of leagues. That one's touch and go for me.
Yeah, no, he's burned me
too
many times. But yeah, you could do worse.
Yeah, that's fair.
We always target Huijsen just because he's a ghost machine, but he never starts, and he's always that guy that you want to have in the odd chance that he starts. But Senesi never gets his 5th yellow, so
no, yeah, exactly. All right, that's fair. All right, we'll leave defenders behind for a second. We will come back to them on the next thing we look at here when we look at the top pickups of the week based on the big 3 leagues. We'll look at that in just a quick second, but let's spend some time on forwards. So Leicester City is an interesting one. Given the fact that Fatawu is now out for the season. Mavadidi's been actually struggling quite a bit. He's not been ghosting like he had been. So I've seen him dropped in places. Pretty tasty schedule coming up. But other than that, I mean, you're going to struggle to find streamers from Aston Villa. You're going to struggle to find, streamers from Brentford with maybe one exception. So are there any of those that you're really kind of looking for and shooting for?
For forwards, not really. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how well rostered Ayew is, but he's the only one that kind of pops out. I was thinking about, I still have Ndidi, and I was going to drop him after his 0.25 display this weekend. But I'm thinking he might actually be a decent hold with under a new manager. Because even if he goes back to being a CDM, he usually scores pretty well. I think Cooper, unless he was playing him as the 10 in an easy matchup, I think he's depressed a lot of values. And then on the flip side, I mean, Buonanotte has really been the only one to really flourish under him outside of Fatawu the last few weeks before the injury.
Yeah.
So he's somebody that the schedule looks good, but I just don't know if the next manager is going to trust him as much as Cooper did. So do you maybe want to sell high? But yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth on Leicester. It looks like maybe Potter's coming in. I don't know.
Is it actually going to be? I heard rumor of that, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not official. He's the favorite. So
I mean, I'll take it. He at least his system creates fantasy points, so we'll take that.
Does it? I don't remember. To be honest, it's been so long. I'm trying to.
I mean, those are the
Brighton days.
Yeah, those are the Brighton heydays, right? That's where like Mitoma got his start, and wasn't it him when Mitoma was in there, and that would have been that would have been Enzo on penalties. Or sorry, no, that would have been McAllister on penalties. My bad.
Gross, but
yeah.
I guess I was more thinking about Chelsea.
The wingbacks too. I mean, he play. God, that feels like a century ago at this point. Jesus.
I know. We're gonna have to go back and do some digging if he ends up being the guy. Dennis Roy is the other guy from his one game in the league with Man United. Hard to gauge, but he seems more of an attacking-minded guy. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, streaming-wise, I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, you're looking at Palace. We've already talked about Ismail Assar, and he'll come up again here in just a second. That's one to look at potentially. Brentford, you've got I mean, there's a couple options there, but do you like somebody like a Keen Lewis Potter? He's notoriously pretty goal dependent, but
you can tell he's not my kind of guy.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah,
he's going to lose his spot at some point with Carvalho and Shade.
I mean, if you keep saying Carvalho's name, he's bound to get a start one of these years.
Probably not, because I don't know if you saw, but his dad posted on social media that he should have never gone to the club. So they might punish him for that.
Oh God!
Don't want to kind of reward that type of behavior.
That is wild. All right. Well,
cheers, Dad.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate that. Let's stop speculating. We can actually look at some of the pickups from the big three leagues. So, for those who aren't familiar, these are the three: the Community League, the International Genie League, and the Discord League, the Discord Super League. These are the most involved community leagues, the leagues where pretty much everybody is very active and pretty knowledgeable. So, in the toolkit, you can go in and see the top players picked up this week in those leagues. So leading the charge here is Dango Ouattara at the top, followed by Omari Hutchinson.
Yeah, it's a bleak place, the waiver wire these days.
Hi. Okay. Well, we talked about Joao Gomez. It sounds like your advice would be, if he's out there, go ahead and grab him mid 3, mid 4.
Yeah, I'd say 4 or 5, but
okay.
Don't be surprised if he lets you down this weekend. But
I mean, yeah,
decent to have on your roster, I'd say.
Brighton's not a great matchup, clearly. Bournemouth is not a great matchup, but they're it's better than it was previously. I feel like they're
in form.
Yeah,
Wolves.
Yeah, and Bournemouth is in a rough stretch currently. So, Mateus Fernandez, I mentioned him. I mean, he's out there in a lot of leagues. Notice there's a vast difference between the community rosterhood, which was at 70% is now at 39%, and the rest of leagues he's at 7% rostered. So if you
rest of leagues,
right? If you find yourself hard up, he's out there for you. Elliot Anderson was dropped in a lot of leagues. Joel Veltman, we talked about Brighton defenders. People picking up Luke Shaw. I guess that's an option that you have in your life.
Eternal.
Enzo, Nelson Semedo, and then I would say just straight up streamers like Tyler Dibbling and Dara O'Shea and Ryan Christie. I don't know. Anyone you want to stop and spend some time on here?
Yeah, I mean, Dango's obviously more interesting now that Semenyo has a yellow card suspension this weekend. So, and he's back fit, and he's been scoring really well when he starts. And obviously, Wolves isn't a terrible matchup. So, yeah, I get that one. Although I wonder if Areola would go with the Rando. I mean, I guess Sinisterra is out for the rest of his life.
Who the hell knows? I think he's just completely out of favor. I've never seen something like that. A player who, on the pitch and the eye test, passes every time.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Yeah, let's see the quote from Areola before Brentford was. Sini's injury is worse because he's tried and he had a small setback, so it'll probably take a bit more time than Dango's. So
yeah, doesn't sound like it.
No,
I would steer clear.
Yeah, but if he ends up randomly starting instead of Dango, 4 or 3,
yeah,
not a bad option. But
I completely agree. When he starts, I'm happy to stream him for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, on paper, you gotta think Dango is the best chance of slotting in for Semenyo. So
yeah,
there's a reason why he's the top waiver wire pickup.
Hutchinson, I literally cannot tell you why he's 67% rostered in community leagues. Or in the rest of leagues, 45%. What I don't know. What am I not seeing? I don't understand.
He had good numbers in the championship. He was a pretty highly coveted Arsenal academy player, and that Chelsea signed.
Yeah,
and then,
we're
did
13
well,
weeks into the season.
Yeah, well, I don't get it now. But I'm saying, like, in the
Before.
draft, people were high on him.
Totally.
But yeah, very goal dependent. He just scored a goal. That's probably the hype, but not for me.
No, same. I would leave him there for someone else to spend some fab on or a waiver priority. But yeah, I mean, you talked about JPVH. He's here. You talked about Dara O'Shea potentially. Ipswich has a nice schedule coming up.
Yeah, definitely pick him up.
Yeah, for sure.
Elliot Anderson, before his injury, had that great run. So if he's back fit, and it seems like he is, he might be the kind of pick the litter in terms of more of a longer term hold. So
yeah, 82% rostered.
Damn. Yeah, it looks like your time's up.
Well, I mean, in community leagues. In other leagues, he's just over half. So he's floating out there for sure. He's in one of my leagues currently on the waiver wire.
Yeah, if you need a mid 5, I'd pick him up.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. He's a good way to like round out that midfield spot, and it's because you don't feel like you're losing too much if you're forced into playing him. If somebody like a City guy doesn't go or whatever, like he still has the ability to deliver 10 plus.
Yeah, plus he has those random monsters, or at least he did before the injury. So with the festive season coming up, he'll get games if he's fit.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Toddy recommended this week, Ryan. So Toddy had the waiver wire article, and we're gonna go ahead and kind of jump through some of those quickly. Normally, we wouldn't tell people about all of these because usually you get 3 completely free for anybody who wants to head over to thedraftsociety.com, but subscribers get the second 3. So we're going to go ahead and just give people a little taste about what you get on a weekly basis for the waiver wire article. So Toddy likes Semedo, which you sort of mentioned in the opposite vein earlier. Ryan Christie, we talked about a little bit, but we can revisit if you want to. Igor Thiago, Mason Mount, Dango Ouattara, and Ismail Assar. Any of those we want to dive into a little bit further?
Yeah, I mean, Semedo is just notoriously inconsistent. So, I mean, it's a coin flip every week, but he's just as likely to, blank than do well. I think Bournemouth are going to score. So he's not somebody that I'm looking to count on.
Right.
But I mean, you could do worse. Streaming defenders is getting harder and harder, I think. It just seems like it has been for whatever reason lately. Whenever you don't have those slam dunk fixtures with the team's defenders that are on the wire, it gets harder. And last week had the most random clean sheets. I mean, Brentford got their first one against Everton.
Right. And, I think also what's happening is, when people find out they have a decent like defender 3 or maybe even 4, they're just holding them now instead of dropping and trying to stream a bunch more. Like I think
that's right. Chalobah syndrome.
Yeah. They're holding on to guys like Wan-Bissaka. They're holding on to guys like even like Vandenberg, like guys like that who are scoring okay week in and week out. They're just getting held. Mikolenko, guys like that.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You're right. It is getting harder, I think, because as people drop the more volatile players and hold for the safer ones, I think it's getting thinner and thinner.
Yep, that's right.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I mean,
I read that as -7 ghosts per start. That's hilarious.
I mean, Christie is your quintessential streamer.
Yeah.
7 points, and maybe he'll get you 13.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that's just what you're hoping for. And if you really are hard up for a mid, then sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The other ones are pretty good. Shouts. I mean, I think the ship has sailed probably in most leagues, or at least most community leagues with Igor Thiago. I think folks have stashed him already for eventual return as a forward 3.
Yeah.
Mount, I'm not looking to buy in. I mean, hasn't been a viable fantasy asset in how long? Like, it feels like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, no.
Dango, like we already talked about it, like, and then Sar as well. So there's some gold in them hills.
Toddy mentions Bournemouth's fixtures in the article, but I haven't actually looked at them. 1 second, let me just pull them
Okay,
up.
I got them.
Okay.
Wolves, Spurs, Ipswich, West Ham, United, Palace, Fulham, Everton. Not bad.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That seems decent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantee that he stays in the squad once Semeto's off of his yellow card suspension, but maybe. I think in the article, Toddy makes the case that the form for the club, is such that Dango may actually get kind of a more sustained run out, which is fair and definitely worth a stash in case that's true.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's obviously the good stream this weekend, but with also the tantalizing prospect of a longer term hold. He's shown that when he plays, he scores well this season. So yeah, that's why he's the pick of the litter this week, I think.
Nice, I like it. And we talked about Sar. Toddy calls him basically Palace's only goal threat.
Process of elimination.
While Eze's out, yeah. So yeah, I like it. Anything to add, Ryan?
No. Actually.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we actually did keep it short and sweet, and I think that's good because
we did under an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
people. Maybe we distracted people from their families and from the hectic holiday season for a little bit, but unfortunately, it's time to get back and spend that quality time.
Not me, but yeah.
Not you, yeah, no, not at all. You have some paella to eat.
Yes, I do. I have some gorging to do.
Well, safe travels, buddy. Thanks for taking the
man.
time during your travels to kind of come on and share drop some knowledge.
Of course. No. Enjoy the time with the fam, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Nice. Appreciate it. Listeners, thanks so much for joining us. Even during, if you are American and you are during the holiday season, we appreciate that so much. And for everyone else, as always, thanks for joining. And like I said, next week we should be kind of back to your regularly scheduled program and back to a live stream as well. So thanks for everybody, and good luck this weekend. Let us know if you have any questions. Hit us up on Discord or now Blue Sky. Draft Society's on Blue Sky.
There you go.
Head over there. Get on Blue Sky. From what I hear, I'm not on there yet, but from what I hear, it's kind of like when Twitter didn't suck. So
that's what I heard too.
People should check that out.
People outside of the community as well.
Yeah.
Just regular folk.
Me too. Yeah. We talked about it this weekend.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Talk to people soon. KPC out. Cheers.